And that, during Cacophony, tells you you're back in the land of the Power of Three, the Scottish Doctor Who podcast that likes to celebrate our favourite television show in all its forms. Audio, books, the telly, toys, and other merchandise. I don't say merch, I'm too cool for that, and I'm a grown-up. So yes, we are today looking at some new releases from BBC Audiobooks. I'm Kenny Smith, and today we are looking at a new release from BBC Audiobooks, and the theme tune probably gives it away. It's one featuring the 15th Doctor. Remember him? As played by Ncuti Gatwa. And this is what the Penguin Random House UK release has to tell us. BBC Studios and Penguin Random House announced two thrilling new Doctor Who audio originals. Two brand new Doctor Who audio original adventures, Firefall and Counterstrike, will launch on the 2nd of October 2025 on Audible, Spotify and all other audiobook platforms. Bringing fresh storylines and excitement to the Whoniverse and featuring the 15th Doctor and Belinda, these gripping standalone tales are written by acclaimed authors Beth Axford and Una McCormack. The readings are accompanied by sound design and the familiar Doctor Who theme music. And today we're going to be looking in depth at Counterstrike. What is Counterstrike, I hear you ask? Claire Corbett, Doctor Who, The Good Doctor, reads an exciting new adventure of systems error and the perils of automation, written by Una McCormack. Landing on an unnamed planet, the Doctor and Belinda find themselves besieged by a swarm of drones. They shelter in a cluster of high-tech buildings. They find living quarters and a control base. The only thing missing is any sign of life. While the Doctor puzzles over a base without people, Belinda finds herself whisked away by teleport. Meanwhile, 3,000 light years away, Project Manager Hazit is puzzled by unusual systems activity on the uninhabited Colony 5. An automated probe was sent there months ago. So why are there now apparently two bases on the planet, each poised to attack the other? With the Doctor in one base and Belinda in the other, a race against time begins to avoid mutually assured destruction. Also goes on to tell us a little about the author. Dr Una McCormack is a New York Times and USA Today best-selling science fiction writer of more than 20 novels, plus many audio dramas and short stories. These novels include 4 Doctor Who novels for the new series Adventures range: The King's Dragon 2010, The Way Through the Woods 2011, Royal Blood 2015 and Molten Heart 2018. An Associate Fellow of Homerton College, Cambridge, Una's academic interests include feminist science fiction, transformative works and creative writing practice and methodology. She writes and broadcasts regularly on these and other topics on local and national radio. She is on the editorial board of Gold SF, an imprint of Goldsmiths Press aimed at publishing new voices in intersectional feminist science fiction. But more importantly than all of that, she's a good friend of this podcast and has featured quite a lot recently with her Doctor Who works. And guess what? She's here again today. But before we speak to Una, we're going to bring you the first 5 minutes of Counterstrike, courtesy of our good friends at BBC Audiobooks. And as they said, this release is available on a variety of platforms, including Audible, Spotify and Zigzag. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's very reputable if you can get BBC Audiobooks from there. So let's pause for a minute and hear the start of Counterstrike.
BBC Audiobooks presents Doctor Who Counterstrike by Una McCormack. Read by Claire Corbett. It was a quiet, more or less empty world. A world that for eons had been left untouched by the kinds of higher intelligence that bring with them a multitude of difficulties and complications. Its rainforests, unspoiled, breathed in and out. Its jungles, uncut, teemed with flora and fauna. Its flowers bloomed, and the grass on its prairies waved and danced. The animals, too, went about their business, which, to be sure, was sometimes red in tooth and claw and proboscis. But hitherto, nothing much had changed. Until today. Today, everything was changing. Today, this quiet world was playing to visitors. A doctor and a nurse. They arrived unceremoniously and rather noisily in a blue box that wheezed and groaned and came to a rest at an angle on the side of a steepish hill. The nurse, whose name was Belinda, came out first, shielding her eyes against a white sun. The doctor, whose name was... well, let's stick with doctor, came out afterwards. Slung over his shoulder was a device about the size, shape and weight of a small double bass, silver and shiny. This was the Vindicator, their way back to Earth. "I think," said Belinda, eyeing the bag mischievously, "that we'll get the best result if we go to the top of this hill. Belle, unless you weren't serious when you said you'd get me home." "You might be home already," said the doctor. "But we won't know," said Belinda, "until we take a reading on the Vindicator. Which is best done," she jerked her thumb upwards, "at the top of this hill." She strode on, unencumbered. The doctor gamely strode beside her. At the top of the hill, they stopped to admire the view. A round valley, almost a bowl, lay below them, surrounded by hills like the one they were on. The bowl flattened at the bottom of the valley, cut in two by a golden river. You might think you were somewhere in Scotland, or the Lake District, or any one of a number of gentle rural landscapes. Except for just about everything. "It could be somewhere on Earth," said the doctor. "No, it couldn't," said Belinda. "No, it couldn't," agreed the doctor. "But the grass is green, at least. Well, silvery green. And look at the trees." He pointed over at a nearby clump of vegetation which gleamed pinkly. "The trees are definitely..." "They're definitely not trees," said Belinda. "And this is definitely not Earth. I suppose it could be Shropshire. I mean, has anyone been to Shropshire? Or more importantly, come back?" The doctor tapped the side of his nose, as if to suggest that terrible secrets lay within its bounds. "I couldn't possibly comment." Belinda laughed. "Should we set up the Vindicator then?" "We should. We shall. Let's go." As the doctor bent to set up the Vindicator, Belinda took the opportunity to study the view. A thrill ran up her spine. Another alien world, a place no human had ever visited before, and she, Belinda Chandra, was the first of her species to see it. Not even having a whole planetary system named after her could lessen the excitement of the first moments on a new world. She breathed the alien air, which was sweetly perfumed, knelt to touch the alien flowers, perhaps a tad too blue for her taste, admired the gold of the river, and listened to the hum of the alien insects. The doctor glanced up from his work. "Seen anything worth a closer look?" "Possibly." Belinda pointed down to the near end of the valley, at some big grey blocks situated at the river's edge.
Well, that was a good wee teaser, wasn't it? So, let's now speak to the writer. And welcome back, Dr McCormack.
My name is Una McCormack, and I am the author of Doctor Who Counterstrike.
So Una, you've got a 15th Doctor credit under your belt already. So,
I do.
was it quite pleasing when you first heard from Michael to say, do you fancy doing one of these?
Do you know, it's always nice when somebody emails and wants to commission you. That's just a given, isn't it? Because you go, oh, thank God, that's going to cover next month's X bill. So, it's probably the dentist's, this one covered.
You do have lovely teeth.
Oh, bless you. That's very, very kind. I read a Pam Ayres poem when I was very young called I Wish I'd Looked After Me Teeth, and I think it's sunk in. So well done, Pam Ayres.
Absolutely. A mainstay of our television when we were young, and doesn't show up that often, but I think she was on Would I Lie to You quite recently, and she was brilliant as ever.
Yeah, she was on Twitter for a while, but she was very involved in sort of animal rescue, and sort of periodically pictures of really sad dogs would pop up, and I just couldn't take it. So I'm a simple soul, but she was extremely funny. Yeah. I'm glad she's still going strong.
Absolutely. So, would you say that your experience of having written for this Doctor before helped because you've got that voice in your head?
Yeah, I think it almost certainly had, because that's always the big problem for me, I think, is trying to find the Doctor's voice and managing the Doctor in the story. So if you kind of have that, you know what sort of vocal cadences you're aiming for, particularly something that's audio. I think with a book you can play a little bit more fast and loose, but with audio you've got to be getting it right, so you've got to have a sense of how that voice is going to sound. Even if it's not the actor himself that's going to be doing it, it's going to be someone who needs it to make it sound like Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. So yeah, always a help to have seen to have heard the Doctor's voice and to have had a crack at it, definitely.
Yeah, I suppose that's the difference with writing Counterstrike. You at least had seen Ncuti in action on screen.
I had,
and you could hear that beautiful voice of his.
Oh, I could, yeah, very much so. No, it really does help, I think, and even when you're doing when I did Cage, which was my Ncuti Gatwa book, to see a few minutes of footage, I got to see an episode. And it just makes all the difference. Once you can hear it, it's 1,000 times easier to write.
Yeah. So did Michael come to you with any particular setting in mind, or is it a case of the universe is your oyster, where and when do you want?
I think we wanted something science fictional. And so that sort of, I think he caught me on a morning where I was being cross about AI. not difficult. So I said, well, let's do something AI-ish. I can't remember which end that came from now. Let's do something that involves an AI, but make it a little more complicated in some way. So something that's actually got intelligence, as opposed to these sorts of learning machines that we have, these automated learning machines. So something that had the capacity to learn and grow. And then the other thing that I had in mind was I wanted to sort of play with our ideas of matter transmission. So either you've got instant teleport that gets you on the a planet's surface straight away, or you don't have matter transmission at all. And I thought, well, there's lots of information and data involved in this. Let's have something that's a bit closer to 3D printing or something like that. So it takes a bit of time, because I think you're always trying to. One of the things I always struggle with writing audio is managing the sort of temporal architecture of the story, what's unfolding where and when. And if you're stuck on something, you go, well, let's make that a virtue. Let's make that a feature rather than a bug. And also it plays with somebody's expectations. Where's this person gone? Why is it taking so long? So action is delayed because somebody's basically sitting in the matter transmission, kind of tapping their fingers and taking 3 hours to get from somewhere to somewhere. So that was useful to have in the plot, I think. But I think pretty much I sort of said, let's do something with not an AI that goes rogue, but something that doesn't quite understand what's going on. And then that idea of technology not quite working how we expect it kind of played out through the rest of the story, I think.
I thought you got a really good handle on Belinda just for their upfront honesty. I think and also her intelligence, which is something that can very easily be overlooked. Mm-hmm. But you've got there's that moment where she's like able to quickly work out what's going on after the transmat. And I think that was a really nice touch. So were you given much background on her as a character?
Had I done the robot revolution? I can't remember which way around I did these now. Probably I'd done...
I think the Cage, then Revolution, then
Yeah, that was it. I'm glad you're on top of it. So I'd sort of done a deep dive into her origin story. So I think that had helped. And then again, you just getting to hear the voice, I think works quite well. So we did have a bit back and forth about where the story was going to be set. Because I think there's a sort of run of, there are kind of places where you can stick the story in, but it makes a difference to how she feels about trying to get back home or being a little bit more excited about what she's being presented with. So there was a sort of sweet spot we were trying to get about her. She's kind of been forced on this journey and wants to get back. But at the same time, because she's smart and curious and all these things, she's obviously going to be loving it. So there was a sweet spot that we needed. And then I needed to know about the Vindicator as well. That was something that we had to frame at the start of the story and make sure that was present. So I had a little look at some material about that. But yeah, there are moments in the kind of character beats, aren't there, on her journey, and we needed to sort of fix that down. So I think we have quite a precise idea of where this fell. I cannot for the life of me remember where it is now. So very naughty me. I should have remembered to look that up before I came online. But we had a good idea of where this story was set. So completists who are interested in finding that out, I'll look it up in my emails.
I think it would fit quite nicely after Lux. I think there's that nice wee run there where you can sort of stop, get your point with the Vindicator. But it's nicely done. The fact you've got it at the start, it's there at the end, and it's acknowledged, so it's there sort of like bookends it without being too much, so you can go on pretty much, go off and tell your own story.
Yeah, and it's nice to have something that I think gives a frame to the story as well and gives it a bit of context, and it's just something that they can be a bit rubbish about. I like the idea of the Doctor hiking it all the way up a hill and back down again and then going, oh damn it, we didn't do the thing we came to do, relatable, as the kids say. Absolutely.
I like the fact that the TARDIS is surrounded very on by drones, because obviously that's something that have particularly risen with the rise of the commercial drone that people can have at home. And also we're aware, of course, about the horrible things that they can do with war. And I think it's very much, it feels very contemporary, just bringing them in, and it's sort of thing you could imagine on television as well.
I think it's sort of, you sort of have to tread lightly with contemporary tech, don't you? I imagine in about 8 years this story will feel incredibly dated. Yeah, everyone will go, oh, AI and drones, that speaks to 2025. But although I don't think drones are going anywhere, to be honest, I think we're stuck with them now. So that I think is that whole idea of everything emerges from this moment where the technologies start running on different tracks, so that it's not that they're doing something wrong, they're doing something entirely within their programming, but that they're doing it under false premises, and what that means for the people involved. I kind of like stories where there aren't villains, but there are kind of consequences to choices that people make, or misunderstandings that take root. So that's the kind, there isn't really a villain in this story, which I know drives my editors crackers. They're like, no, just put a villain in, But I quite like that in Doctor Who. I think it's quite. I think people are well-meaning on the whole.
Yeah,
not everyone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I know what you mean. And the thing that I particularly found this was, it's very visual, because I could see it in my mind's eye, sort of like being filmed in a high-tech industrial park in Cardiff or somewhere like that. Sort of just having that, just like that, like they have in Dot and Bubble.
Yeah.
So that near futuristic world, and I could really see that. And just walking through it, and there's nobody there, and I thought that was I thought that was very, very screen accurate. I could see it.
Oh, this is always incredibly gratifying to me, because I think I've said this to you before. I don't have any visual imagination at all, so I don't have any sense of what this is like visually. So if I've captured what I try and do is capture a feeling of an image that I've seen, an image I know I've seen but can't picture. Yeah. I can remember the feeling I had, and I try and get that feeling down on the page. That I think, and what that does then, I think, is when people listen or read, they connect that feeling to something that they have seen, and that image pops up in their head. So you're doing all the work there yourself, Kenny. I'm not.
Well, you're giving off the right vibes. I'm getting them. So
Good. I believe this is called craft.
I'd call it experience and expertise, but
Well, bless you. I don't. What do I know? I'm just winging it.
you've been winging it for quite a while. You should really
I know
specialise.
they've still not found me out.
We also get to meet Hazit, who is one of those characters you can imagine being played, sort of having that sort of geeky look to her.
Yeah.
But she's absolutely brilliant, sort of slightly socially awkward, but brilliant. And I think that comes across really quickly as well. And it's that ability to sort of craft a character and just using the shorthand, considering you've got a very limited word count here and a short space of time to sort of capture her. And, within like 2 minutes, you know who she is and what she's like.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And I think in a way, these sort of fast-paced stories where there's tension or countdown or peril or jeopardy, I think maybe as people we do revert to kind of stock characters, or a stock version of ourselves, So, and what's more stock than two people stuck on the night shift getting a bit bored? There's a little bit Nightingales in this, I suspect, as well. Yeah, which is one of my favourite sitcoms back in the day. Just two people who are a bit bored, and one of them wants to do something that is going to liven up the evening, but things get actually perilous.
Yeah.
This being Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we do get to find out that part of the story is that an automated probe has been sent to Colony 5. And in the way that we do when we're sort of, why can't I get logged into my Amazon account or whatever, and then you sort of wait for the code to come through, it doesn't come through, you go again and send for another code, which does come through, and then the first one comes through. So I almost got that impression that sort of partly inspired this as well, that kind of
Yeah, it's that kind of thing, and that if the automation, like I said, if it just gets slightly out of sync, then the system doesn't catch up with itself, and then what would happen then? Because it would not know, it would be working from first principles, and then it was sort of one of them would go, but now I need to defend myself, but actually there's nothing to defend yourself again. It's just got into this pattern that it's learned. So exactly that kind of systems that have just gone a little bit out of whack, and then the consequences emerge from that, I think. So that's what happened. And then in the middle of this is a slightly confused artificial intelligence called Vita. So which is very hard to say without going scouse. Vita. Lovely Vita maid.
I also really enjoyed the moment where they're having a conversation and they're telling Vita to not listen in. You think, I think there are people who will have their home devices, their Alexas, their Siris and whatever else. And you just never know what's going on there.
I like to think that Vita does actually absent herself. I think Vita's quite polite. That version of Vita in particular, I think it's go, all right, I'll just step outside, shall I? You probably don't want to be incriminated or something. So I think Vita does absent herself. So they do trust her, I think. And of course, Hazit is very big on, I probably bang on about this too much, that, you can't replace the human component completely with a kind of automated component. So, Vita will be programmed to defer to the humans in the room, which is not necessarily the way we've got it round at the moment. Mind you, if using AI stops Kim Kardashian from becoming a lawyer, then I guess we can thank him for something.
Oh God, there's a thought.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go there. Let's not go there.
No.
Placing Belinda and splitting her up from the Doctor, and she really does get to shine and just show how brilliant she is. And I loved her as a character, and she's great. I just think, and you really do capture her here.
Oh, good. That's really good. I think you have to split and particularly in a story of this sort of length, you have to split up Doctor and Companion, don't you? Otherwise, there's no kind of you have to make them the sort of dual core of the dual narratives. And as you say, though, it just means that Companion gets to have gets a chance to do stuff and be that person. And the companions are always easier, I think, because the companions are there to be asking questions and to be your space. You as the reader or the watcher, they're your avatar in any Doctor Who story. Doctor, what's going on? How does this work? Oh, I'm the kind of ambassador for, humanity, discovering these aliens or working out what's going on, or bringing my contemporary understanding of the world to this new and weird situation. So companions are always a pleasure to write. And Belinda's a lark. She's an absolute laugh. She's tough and she doesn't take any rubbish and doesn't take rubbish from the Doctor and knows her own mind. So, yeah, she's great. She's brilliant.
So any particular favourite moments when you listen back to it?
So I really love the bits where they kind of work out that other Vita is present and is just too defensive to speak and interact. And the kind of coaxing out of that Vita I really like, and I think is very Doctorish. It's the kind of thing I like to see the Doctor do. Sort of stop frightened people acting out of fear. I think that's a very Doctorish type of healing that the Doctor does. So I like those bits. I'm very fond of those. I wrote a large chunk of this. I was in Oxford. I was addressing I'd been invited by the Oxford University Speculative Fiction Society. I'd had a lovely evening with them. And then the next day, for my train rent, I was in this very nice room that they found for me in a college, and I wrote a large chunk of this story while I was there. So I can picture the room, in fact. I remember being very pleased at coming up with a working acronym for Vita. I was very excited when I went, Vita is her name, and I could come up with a good acronym for that. I thought that was quite elegant, so I really liked that.
Yeah, and of course, an outstanding reading from Claire Corbett, who's one of the best in the audiobook business.
Yeah, I'm super lucky with people who do my audiobooks. Doctor Who and Star Trek, I've had some absolute knockout readers. So, yeah, they're magicians, those people. They know their stuff.
Yeah, you can't complain when you had Varada Sethu doing your last one. So
yeah, David Warner, Kate Mulgrew. I've been supremely lucky. Yeah, and then the guys who do the Star Trek stuff, Robert Petkoff and Jerry Lavoie, they're just really skilled. Very very specific and very skilled.
Fantastic. Una, anything else you'd like to give a wee mention to that you've been working on that people might be interested in?
Well, they should. If they haven't looked at my other 15th Doctor stuff, then they might enjoy. Anyone listening to this who isn't up to date on Targets, I doubt it. But Robot Revolution and Caged, and I got an award for Caged. I got a British Science Fiction Association award, and I just received it this weekend. A friend of mine picked it up for me, and then has at Easter, and then has carted it around the country to hand it over to me in Brighton. It's travelled round all the nations of the UK pretty much. Hasn't gone to Wales. I'll have to take it to Cardiff. Other than that, I've got a Star Trek book in the works that people should look out for next year, and my Strange New Worlds novel Asylum is just coming out in paperback. So definitely. So yeah, quite a lot actually.
Yeah, I've actually only just discovered Strange New Worlds. I watched the first episode because I discovered it was on STV Player up here in Scotland. Watched it and thought, that's rather good. So the rest of the first series is there, so I'm going to have to do some catching up.
Go for it. I think it's first season in particular really strong, and then lots to like from later stuff. So enjoy it. I
will do. So thank you once again, Una. Absolutely brilliant. And we'll speak very soon.
We will indeed. My pleasure. Thanks ever so much, Kenny.
Huge thanks as ever to Una. That's her third visit to the podcast in, gosh, not that long, having done the Robot Revolution and then talked about her 13th Doctor novel, Molten Heart. So, also out alongside this release is another audiobook, as we mentioned at the start, and this is an extract for you from Firefall by Beth Axford.
Deep in the darkness of space, somewhere in the Milky Way galaxy, was the planet Earth. Flecks of burning light dotted the darkness around it as thousands of meteoroids streaked across the nothingness, burning up in the planet's atmosphere as quickly as they had appeared. Far above the blue-green Earth, floating in the middle of its temporary light show, was a blue police box. Light faintly glowed from its windows and rooftop lamp, and watching from the open doors of the box was a man, arms outstretched and a grin spread across his face. Standing next to him was a woman, wide-eyed and smiling. The pair wore dark, round sunglasses to shield their eyes from the brightness of the flying fireballs. 100,000 meteors are flying across the skies of the Earth every hour, right here, right now. The Doctor was telling Belinda Chandra, his new friend and, perhaps temporarily, travelling companion. These meteor storms occur every 33 years or so, but this one, the Leonids meteor storm of 1833, is one of the largest recorded in your planet's history. They're named Leonids because the meteors seem to stream from a radiant point at the top of Leo's constellation. Belinda stared out at the radiance and thought that the view was like nothing she had ever seen. It was a thought she was having a lot these days. I think I've heard of it. Didn't people think the world was ending or something? The Doctor smiled down at her. Yep. The night the stars fell, they called it. That's kind of beautiful, Belinda said, although the potential end of planet Earth was the one thing she was trying not to think about right now. They come from a comet called Temple Tuttle, the Doctor explained. As that comet takes its path around the sun, it leaves a little trail of debris which enters the Earth's atmosphere so fast that it vaporizes, causing... This, Belinda breathed. This, said the Doctor in return. Streaks of shining light caused by the speed of the vaporization. Belinda laughed. I know how meteors work, Doctor. Right, yes. Sorry. He smiled at her with a glint in his eye and continued. I was thinking, we're going to have to land if we want to take another Vindicator reading. Belinda rolled her eyes. That old excuse. They were using the device to try and help them get back to the day she was kidnapped from her back garden by robots, which meant taking a reading everywhere the TARDIS hitched up. The Doctor beamed. What do you think, Belle? Should we pop down to 1833? When you say take a reading, you really mean have an adventure, don't you? Who says it can't be both? The quicker we take the readings, the sooner you'll be home. The Doctor and Belinda were taking a light-hearted approach to their predicament because the truth was too difficult to think about. They could not return to Earth on the 24th of May 2025 because there didn't seem to be an Earth on the 24th of May 2025 to return to. They had been bouncing off it, unable to land ever since they left Miss Belinda Chandra 1. And while she was desperate to get home, there was a small guilt growing inside her because Belinda was beginning to enjoy her travels with the Doctor. She desperately wanted to return to her life. She missed Croydon and her parents and normality. She even missed the terrible coffee she often drank to get through a night shift at the hospital. But the Doctor couldn't get her home right now, so she let herself enjoy what she could. It wasn't as though many people had the opportunity to travel through space and time. For all she knew, she might be the first human to do so. So until she could get back home, Belinda was simply trying to be present in the life she was living. She squashed down her worry and concentrated on the meteor storm. The Doctor was right. It was dazzling, life-changing even. Most of the meteoroids moved so fast that the Doctor and Belinda couldn't see their original forms. Instead, they shot across space as streaks of light. Some curled into serpent-like shapes as they fizzled away, and others almost exploded out of reality as they burnt up in the atmosphere of the Earth.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We're at Power of 3 Pod on Twitter. We're on Blue Sky at Finished Scene, And we have a Facebook page too, where we like to share bonus content when we've something relevant. And of course, if you have enjoyed today's podcast, please do feel free to leave a review wherever you get your podcasts from, because they're good for optics and statistics and that kind of thing. We're not into monetizing or anything like that. We don't care about that. We don't do Patreon. We just want to have fun and celebrate our favourite TV show. And so we're at the end, and it's time for a tune to play us out. And given that the 15th Doctor teared up a lot of people were just saying every Saturday night, "Don't cry tonight." And that's the track we're playing out with from Savage, which is Italian musician, singer and businessman Robert Zanetti, who's also a music producer who uses the name Robix. So, over to Savage. Until next time, I've been Kenny Smith. Bye!
Tonight